Now, I don't know about you, but the coronavirus has sucked, right? The coronavirus has not been fun for really any of us, right? Unemployment is at a record high. Businesses across the country are shutting down. We've lost thousands and thousands of businesses, and that is, not to even. Also, we've lost over 210,000 Americans. Last time I saw it, I think it was like 215,000 dead. More than we lost in Vietnam, that we've lost the coronavirus. And after all this devastation, all this pain that the American people are feeling, Trump wants to let you know that if you are hurting financially, if you're worried about where the rent's going to come from, where your mortgage payment's going to come from, if you're having trouble putting food on the table, Trump wants you to know that screw you until after the election. He says any stimulus negotiation is off until, I quote, after I get elected. Yeah, so what he's basically saying there is that, if you have financial insecurity, if you're being hurt by the coronavirus, that's not important to him right now. What's important is him getting reelected. So he'll kind of dangle that carrot there and see if that'll get you out to the polls. Now, this change, of course, comes, since then, he has, for his credit, maybe changed his tune a little bit and said that, okay, maybe I will sign some kind of stimulus package after the one number that he really cares about took a hit.
Markets have done an immediate about face in the last 10 minutes after President Trump said no more stimulus negotiations. He has rejected what the Democrats are offering now in a single tweet.
Yep, he is. Yeah, he just basically took to Twitter and said, "Yep, tough shit. No stimulus bill for you." And the funny thing about this, if you really kind of want to dive in the weeds about here, the funny thing is that Democrats were actually on the ropes. So they have put out a bill in May, and it was a $3 trillion bill. That's kind of where they set their negotiating point out. Republicans in July, I believe, came in with a $500 billion bill. And so there's a lot of room there, right? But as we're getting close to the election, and as politicians are stuck in Washington kind of a lot, I mean, you got to picture this is Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin in a room. So everyone else is kind of twiddling their thumbs, ready to get back on the campaign trail and ready to, show some results for their voters, right? And so moderate Democrats were actually starting to fight against Nancy Pelosi. They were actually starting to say, let's just get something done so we can get out of here. And so Nancy Pelosi's support was actually kind of failing. Now, after this treat from Trump, they can just say, well, the president shut this down, not us. I mean, it takes the heat off of them completely. And so the truth is, this makes absolutely no sense politically. No sense. I mean, if you're a Democrat, okay, now I don't have to worry about, trying to get this bill through before you get back to the campaign trail. If you're a Republican, which that is obviously Trump's party, the main person at the top of the ticket just said, no stimulus bill, no help for the millions on unemployment, including the millions on unemployment in states that Trump needs to win. Nothing's going to get people out to vote there by saying, okay, the president of the United States basically says, screw you, we're not giving you any help during this pandemic. And so it just makes no sense politically. But it makes all sense in the world when you consider who Trump is. He's a child. And it's all about him showing he's the one with the power. Right? If you've ever, if you have kids or if you've ever watched kids and you've seen, kids, they just throw a temper tantrum sometimes, right? They just start acting crazy. They get very upset. And sometimes they'll just say, I'm going to take my stuff and go home, right? They're just like, there's no pleasing them, and they want to show who has authority here. And that's essentially what Trump did. And if you disagree with that, then why did he announce this right after he got out of the hospital? Right? He gets out of the hospital, not looking so good politically, and then all of a sudden just kills this. I mean, makes no sense unless you know who Trump is. And so now he's realized he's messed up, and Republicans are pissed. Right? I mean, Republicans, they're all looking around like, why would he actually do this? And so Trump, for his part, has come out and said he will sign another stimulus check, but not the full thing. First, because, he said he'll sign another $1,200 direct payment to folks so he can make sure he can write his name on it. And now there's reports out there that he wants more than what the Democrats were offering. Last check is that he wanted to offer up to $1.8 billion in his version of a stimulus bill. But the thing is, now the political will to do that may be over, right? He's taking the heat off Democrats. And so we'll see. I'm hoping the deal can get done because this is obviously something that people really need. This is definitely hurting a lot of folks. The coronavirus and like how much it's hurting them financially. The one thing that no one's actually talking about here is the liability protection for businesses. So that was what Republicans have been fighting for this whole time. I know it's been very frustrating for everyone, kind of just waiting on Congress to figure it out. And it kind of seems like it's just normal political infighting. It seems like, okay, this is just constant. This is Washington politics. This is how it's done. Like, they don't do anything. They get nothing done. And that's probably very frustrating to you out there who is waiting to, see what's going to happen here, how you're going to pay your bills, all that kind of stuff. But one of the big things to remember is that the Republicans, for the longest time, have demanded liability protection for businesses. And I've talked about that before, but essentially what that means is that if you get sick with the coronavirus, right? If you come down sick with the coronavirus and, hey, I got it from work. I got it from the place I work at. My employer didn't take the right protections. There's been cases of where employers have enforced employees to work even though they have COVID symptoms. And what the Republicans want to do is make it impossible for you to sue those businesses, no matter what they've done. And to me, that's a non-starter, right? And I think to Nancy Pelosi, that's a non-starter. And that's what Republicans have been fighting for this whole time. So I hope a deal gets done, but not at that cost.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for watching Citizen Pete. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, click that little subscribe button, maybe the like button, and hey, maybe, just leave a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about all the politics, the news, and all the stuff that's going on in our country?